There's one additional member on the screen. Senator Deuell, for what purpose you rise?
Speak for the bill.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I wasn't going to speak, and sometimes the way it's been being in the majority, when we know we have the votes, we just sit and listen to the opposition, and then with the confidence of numbers, we stay silent. But I'd like to bring a little perspective to the bill. I think that what some people perhaps don't recognize in listening to the testimony in the committee was that there's not an illegal immigration problem, and I think there is. It's probably not as bad as some people think, but I also think that it's worse than other people think. And yes, the federal government is not doing its job, and it goes back, and we've had to deal with it from a state level. I think we appropriated over $200 million this year for border security. 9/11 changed a lot of things, more specifically to one of our members, but also to this nation. And I understand the opposition, and a lot of wounds from times past have been opened in terms of racial discrimination and ethnicity discrimination, and I appreciate that. And we are a nation of immigrants, and we had many European immigrants come over to Ellis Island, but they were asked questions about where they were from, and they were screened and given health tests, but they were here legally. There was a system, and we still have that, and we're a nation of laws. And some of the icons of justice is a lady blindfolded because justice is blind, meaning that it doesn't discriminate. And we have this illegal immigration problem, and that's what we're trying to address. It just so happens that in this state, particularly, a lot of the illegal immigrants are Hispanic. But the things that we do to address that are not because they're Hispanic. It's because they're illegal. And I have many Hispanics in my district, even in the northeast part of Texas, many more. It was when I started practice in '86 at a federally qualified health center. Hispanic patients were fairly rare. Now I'm in private practice, and I have a lot of Hispanic patients. I assume most are legal. Perhaps some are not. I don't ask. It's not the place at a medical office. But what some of the Hispanics have told me, and some are not immigrants, some have been here a lot longer than many of us have, certainly me. They resent the ones that of any nationality that are here illegally because it stigmatizes them to a certain degree. I think tonight's an example of that. And the ones that have immigrated here have done so legally, and they feel like people are competing unfairly, not playing by the rules. And one of the reasons that they wanted to come to this country was because we are a nation of law and rules, and you know what's happening at the border and other places, not only in Mexico, but Central and South America. My mother and a single mom, brother and I came to Texas in 1960, came to Dallas, South Oak Cliff, Center West. We came from a small town in West Virginia in an integrated neighborhood. The kids that I grew up with there were no Hispanics, but they were black and white, and we played together, fought together, called each other names that would get you in trouble now. And moving to South Oak Cliff, Center West and I didn't live that far apart. We weren't particularly comfortable with the environment. In fact, we were asked to leave a church because my grandmother pointed out in a Sunday school class she didn't see any reason why African Americans couldn't come to our church. People disagreed. They thought we might be happier. They looked at us as Yankees and asked us to find another church. We found another church. And it's not the same type of discrimination, but try driving around Texas with hair about the length of Senator Huffman in a Volkswagen bus like I did in the late 60s and early 70s, and you'll find a certain type of discrimination. But we do have this problem, and Senator Ogden, I think, expressed why some of us are uncomfortable and yet are going to vote for this bill. And I'll leave you with a story I heard Paul Harvey tell once, and I think you can think of this bill as being sort of the moral of this story. There was a young boy who found a little baby bird that was still alive, and he had it in his hand, and he walked up to a man and said, "Well, do you know if the bird's alive or it's dead?" Well, the man knew what was going to happen, that if he told the boy he thought the bird was dead, he would open his hand and show him that it's alive. But if he said the bird's alive, the little boy would squeeze the bird, open the hand, and show him that it's dead. And I think this bill is what we make of it in this state. I think the state has heard the debate. I think this bill is going to pass. I think law enforcement testified against it. Some were for it. I think our law enforcement officers in this state are just as varied as we are in this body, just as varied as we are throughout the state. I think they will listen to this debate, and I trust them to act accordingly and show the world that justice is blind and is administered equally. The man's answer to the little boy was, "Is the bird alive or dead?" It's as you want it to be. And I think this bill will be as we collectively want it to be. I tend to be an optimist, and I look for the best in things. And I think that this bill, if applied in the proper way, will be of a benefit to Texas, accomplish its goal, and not bring out the worst in all of Texas. Thank you.